A quick review of solving trig equations. In this video, we're just going to go through these 10 problems pretty quickly, and then you should be set up to attempt the review assessment so that the real assessment, that's an accuracy grade, will show up for a grade. So for number 1, solve for x if x is between 0 and 2 pi. So this is in radians. They tell me sine of x is square root 3 over 2. So sine square root 3 over 2. My reference angle is pi over 3. And then based on my all students take classes, sine is positive in quadrants 1 and 2. So that would mean pi over 3 and 2 pi over 3 are my answers, where sine would be positive square root 3 over 2. For number 2, we have secant of x equals negative 2 square root 3 over 3. First thing I need to do is flip both sides to make it the reciprocal. Then remember, you can't have a square root in the bottom. So you shove it and leave it. And then the 3's cancel, so negative square root 3 over 2. So my reference angle, my theta, for cosine being square root 3 over 2, this is in degrees, so 30 degrees, it says it up here. And then cosine is negative in quadrants 2 and 3. So that would be 180 minus 30 and 180 plus 30. So 150 degrees and 210 degrees. Number 3, solve for x, putting it in radians. So this one I do need to do a little bit of manipulating. So trying to get tangent by itself. So tangent x equals 1. Looking at my chart, tangent of 1 in radians, my theta is pi over 4. And then it would be in quadrants 1 and 3. So that would be pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4 to be in quadrants 1 and 3. Problem 4, solve in degrees. So need to do a little manipulating. So 3 halves cosecant x equals negative square root 3. Divide by 3 halves. So cosecant x is negative square root 3 times 2 over 3, because you would flip the 3 halves. And then I'm going to flip this whole thing to put it into a sine, cosine, or tangent. So this one would be sine 3 over negative 2 square root 3. So we would shove it and leave it, and the 3's would cancel. So negative square root 3 over 2. So sine square root 3 over 2 is 60 degrees. And sine is negative in quadrants 3 and 4. So that would be 180 plus 60 and 360 minus 60. So 240 and 300. Problem 5, this one's also going to be in radians. I'm going to move my square root 3 over 2, so 6 cosine x is negative 3 square root 2. Divide by 6, so cosine x is negative square root 2 over 2. In my chart, square root 2 over 2 in radians is pi over 4. Cosine is negative in quadrants 2 and 3. So that would be 3 pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. Number 6, this is in degrees. Gotta do some manipulating. So 4 cotangent x equals 4. Divide by 4, so cotangent x equals 1. and then get the reciprocal, so flip 1, you just get 1. So tangent of 1 is 45 degrees, and it is positive in 1 and 3, so that would be 45 and 180 plus 45, so 45 and 225. Problems 7 and 8 ask you to simplify by factoring. Notice it does not say solve, it says simplify, so you are just factoring. So when we simplify factoring with trig, we rewrite it as a normal trig function. I replace, so using blankety blank, this would be negative 4x and negative x. These share a 2x. These need to share a negative 1. So my factors are x minus 2 and 2x minus 1. And then I go back and put the trig function wherever I see the letter x. So make sure you not only factor, but you also make sure you put the sign back in for the x's. Problem 8, this is a difference of squares. It would be 4x minus 1, so you would have 2x minus 1 and 2x plus 1, and then just go back and put that cosine in wherever you see an x. And then 9 and 10, solving by factoring. So we need a factor. We're going to have our answers in radians. On these problems, there might be more than one answer. So first thing I got to do is move sine to the other side. So sine x tan x minus sine x equals 0. These both share a sine x, so I'm going to factor out a GCF. So my factors are sine of x equals 0 and tan x minus 1 equals 0, so that would be tan x equals 1. Sine 0, sine is 0 at pi, and then also at 0 and 2 pi. And then tangent is 1 at a reference angle of pi over 4. It would be in quadrants 1 and 3, so pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. So all 5 of these would be your answer. Keep in mind, hint, 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 that it might be something like this is answer A and this is answer B, and it might say something like, I don't know, select all that apply, and so you would want to make sure you check off both answer choices. This one is one we've seen before, so they want our answer in radians. We don't have a GCF, and that was kind of a mistake on that last assessment. So make sure you are factoring these completely. So I would have negative 2x and positive x. So 2x, x minus 1, plus 1, x minus 1. So my factors are 2 cosine x plus 1 equals 0 and cosine x minus 1 equals 0. This would get me to negative 1 over 2, and this would get me to positive 1. Again, in radians, cosine 1/2, your theta is pi over 3. And then cosine for 1 is 0 and 2 pi. And remember, anything in red and green, you just write down as it is. Anything blue and purple, you have to put in the correct quadrants. So cosine is negative in 2 and 3, so that would be 2 pi over 3 and 4 pi over 3, in addition to 0 and 2 pi.